define phase, DMAC. So project charter, the first important factor. Please make a note. One hacks I like to share, being a black belt, you should know which tools, which type of technique, which type of documentation are done. Tools, technique, and documentation are done for each phase of DMAC. All right, I repeat again. Please make a complete list of the bifurcation, tools, techniques, and documentation done for each stages of the DMAC. Let's begin with the first one, define. Under define phase, you're defining the process of the current process. You're trying to understand the process. We're trying to understand the criticality of the processes. For that to understand, to able to proceed further, we create one particular documentation called project charter. Under project charter, we cover the structure, scope, best practices, processes, communicate, and define. By the time we complete the project charter, I'll share with you all the template for the project charter. Please make a note. Project charter can be also had. It can also be adding additional sets of questionnaire based on your industry, based on your field, based on your domain. All right. You can change the sets of questionnaire, but there's no thumb rule as such to able to follow only similar sets of template, which I'll be sharing it further. For now, let's begin what is project charter in detail. Kindly start project charter.
Your project charter is a document that contains all of the important information and permissions required for the new project. According to the PMBOK guide, the project charter is the first deliverable that is distributed to all stakeholders prior to the start of the project. The components of the document may differ depending on its intricacies.
What does PMBOK stands for?
Project Management Book of Knowledge.
Very good. Project Management Body of Knowledge.
So
body of knowledge. There are many body of knowledge, like deployment model of body of knowledge. There are many other professional sets of body of knowledge. When we started up, like around 15 years back, it was a part of my college days. And we used to refer to the 4th and the 5th version. What is the latest version we are referring right now? Seventh. Very good. So this little bit of the PMBOK. All right. PMBOK is nothing but standardization. Every company, right? Every company follows Six Sigma, but they follow different practices, yes or no, in their own terms and conditions. True or false?
Yes,
correct?
True.
So to make it standardization means something which globally can accept. A standardization means something which is a global population can accept. Whether the company, SME company or a startup company, they require certain standardization or a framework. So there's a particular institute called Project Management Institute, PMI. Project Management Institute was first published. They first published the PMBOK. That is termed as Project Management Body of Knowledge. All right. The first PMBOK was released in the year 1983. 1980. These were the topics will be helpful for you to deliver as a black belt. And these questionnaires are part of the interview process of the black belt as well. All right. So the first time it was introduced way back in 1983. And the PMI was founded in 1969, as old as, imagine 1969. All right. And it was a forum by project managers. It was introduced in the year 1969 by a group of project managers. All right. Okay. And they shared the information and problem related to their field. So they collaboratively made a particular forum and an institute called Project Management Institute. All right. So it evolved the basic ethics. It's just a standardization. It's a basic ethics, basic standardization, framework, accreditation. All right. It's a committee. Clear? These are the important attributes. Just like Harvard Club of Alumni, likewise project management of Alumni are a part of it. Very, very important, very, very highly. If you people are focused and want to pursue like a master black belt, you should able to get a guide from the PMI. That's the best hack. All right. So they have just like, any other, like a Toastmaster club. You might have heard about Toastmaster club. They have several chapters, right? Based on the location. Likewise, even they have several chapters, you can get associated with them. Clear? Okay. And if your company, and if you're into service industry, I repeat again, if you're into service industry, you have to follow another standard guidelines that's called as DPBOK. That stands for DPBOK. Another sets of committee that is an international body that is called as Digital Practitioner Body of Knowledge. I repeat again, Digital Practitioner of Body of Knowledge. It is teaching us from inception to the current stage. How do we make our company into a growth company? Everything is covered, everything in detail, in minute. All right. As I said, you can say a brother of PMBOK, it's DPBOK. Like these, you have various standardization which is covered globally. Now, why I'm talking about so much of these point of factor? Because black belts and master black belts are two of the courses which requires a very integrated knowledge of the standardization, or a basic certification will help you to get international jobs. That's it. All right, because it has more demanding in the abroad comparatively here. That's the fact. I'm giving you all the factual part. I'm not going any against my own country, but it has more demand abroad, and for to able to break through that, you have to get these certification. Clear? This is for the PMBOK. For DPBOK, you have the again DPBOK is the own. They have their own website with the same term. You can get it at opengroup.org. Digital Practitioner Body of Knowledge. Now that is exactly for those. See, what happens is like for those who are startups, like we talked about, right? If you're a startup company, it's not necessary that you have to pursue the project. You ought to be the Six Sigma, not necessary, right? So for those kind of people who are startup, who want to work abroad, who have to open up your own company or do SME, specifically they are SME. So that is the So they learn the DPBOK to able to get the knack of project management collaborated with the Six Sigma concept. Everything under one go. So it's like digital body. Are we getting it? All right. So it's like digital transformation. How we can transfer a company is a digital transformation. So like you get covered everything. In fact, DPBOK is such a standardization. It covers both PMBOK as well as Prince 2. Heard about Prince 2?
Yeah, Prince 2.
Yes, exactly. So DPBOK is the father of PMBOK. So are you getting it? The connections now? All right. So it's like, the market is very scattered. Market is like very, very like an ocean. We got to know which are the courses are much more affiliated to our career. Correct? Please make a note. If you're a project manager, MSP will be one of the one of the very good sets of certifications called Managing Successful Program. And now you people have already understood how does the project charter came in from. Project charter came in from the PMI Institute, and the PMI forum-based project managers introduced the standardization. They introduced the standardization with the help of their own sets of experiences. So they came from vivid background. Vivid means different background coming up together and giving up their expertise and sharing and creating a standard framework that is called as PMBOK guide, which is the latest version already shared with you all. All right. So are you getting it? So Six Sigma is just not one person done and he created a history. Six Sigma is a different attributes from different industry and then covering up together and creating a big set of a divine or a diverse topic called Six Sigma. Clear? It's a very diverse topic, just like India have diverse culture. Like Six Sigma is a very diverse topic. Clear? All right. Let's begin with the project charter now. Kindly continue.
The project charter is a written one-page document that contains all the fundamental details about the project. It is one of the most important documents of the Six Sigma project. The project charter is a part of the defined phase of the Lean Six Sigma project. It defines the project objectives, business case, scopes, roles, and responsibilities of the project team, and milestone and target dates.
All right. So the point here is the project charter again is a one-page document. It is a document which falls in a defined phase. Defined means before it could be, see, repeating again, DMAC, do not confuse. DMAC is for the current processes. DMADV is for the forecast-based projects or experimental-based projects. All right. Likewise, project charter can be applied for both DMAC as well as DMADV. Clear? So do not say, ma'am, you're a hypocrite to talk about both the things in the one roof. I'm not talking, because just project charter applies to both DMADV as well as DMAC. Clear? That means it can be done for the current process. It can be done for the forecasted process or experimental processes. Clear? Thank you. So here project charter is a one-page documentation. It's not a one page, it is multiple page documentation. It depends on the complexity of your processes. It covers all the basics to the major concept or parts and attributions of the project. It's an important document for the Six Sigma because this is where you get the authorization to start with the project. I'm going to mention who's going to be giving to whom in the further slide. But for now, project charter is a part of defined phase and it should be the Lean Six Sigma project, not for the Six Sigma project. All right. It defines project objectives, case, scope, responsibilities, milestone, as well as one important factor. What if the plan A fails? Do we have a plan B? All right. That means what is the risk factor? If we are failing with the process, do we have a backup plan? Even that they have also callback or workaround factor. Clear? So what are the main elements of the project charter? Kindly continue.
Business case. The business case explains why this project is important to the company. Why should the organization support this project? Problem statement. The problem statement is a brief description of the pain being experienced by an organization. The problem statement should be related to the voice of the customer, VOC, refers to the detailed process, whether internal or external, for resolving problems with customer service.
The first one itself help us to have a business cases. What do you think? What kind of business cases we're talking about? We're talking about those business project charter which has already been implemented by our seniors, which has seen the success in our company, and those success and failures becomes a business case for ours to follow. Are you getting it? We're talking about those project charter which has been implemented by our seniors 2 or 1 decade back. Clear? And that becomes our business case for us to follow suit. All right. Now, problem statement. We are following a factor. You're going to be learning about this, a pain factor. Pain factor means what is the exact criticality? What is the main problem? What is the primary problem the current process is facing? All right. The current company is facing. That is VOC, voice of the customer, which refers to detailed process, whether internal or external. But that means whether we have the problem arise or problem had been existing, internal attributes of the company or external factors of the company. External would be procurement, logistics, customer service. All right. What can also say after sales service. Internal would be production, management, toxic culture. It could be manufacturing process, equipment breakdown, employee burnout. Sorted? These are the internal factors for resolving the problems with the customer services. Clear? Who are the internal employees? Who are the internal customers? Sorry, 2 types of customer. Internal customer, external customer. Who are the internal customer?
Employee internal customer. Huh?
Yes. So here, internal customer can also be your stakeholders, quality testifying team, all right, who are testing your product. I repeat again, who are testing a product and a services are also internal customer. All right. So quality testifying team, Q&A team, product development team can also be your internal customer. For example, tea tester. Have you heard about tea testing or coffee testing as a job role? Right? They have a job role. So they become internal customer. For example, Tea Board of India. Might have heard about Tea Board of India, right? So Tea Board of India. So the internal customer is those who do the internal. They get the first handmade, products which they're supposed to do the quality, testifying internally by the tea tester, and then it has been sold to the external customer, who we are, general customers. Got it? Let's proceed further. Goal statement.
Goal statement. The project goal of the project should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So it's called a SMART goal. The project goal should be related to the problem you are trying to solve. What is the scope of the project? Number 4 is scope statement. The scope defines what is included in the project and what is excluded from the project. It can include product families, geographical areas, departments, etc. The scope of the project clearly describes the physical boundaries of the area to be worked on.
So who invented the SMART goal? What does SMART stands for?
Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound.
Absolutely correct. Six Sigma, it has gone a lot of refinement stages. On the book, we say it's 1981, but it has been an 18th century old concept, which has been redefined by 3 important personalities called Sir George, James Cunningham, Mr. James Cunningham, and one more, Arthur Miller. Miller. Way back in 1981, but it has an existence to another sets of topic. I'll cover that later. All right. On records 1981, but it's actually on 18th century based concept, which was been developed by former director called Sir Doran. Who was he? He was a director of the company called corporate planning. That was, he used to work as a corporate planning as a director for the Washington Water Power Company. Yes. Washington Water Power, or we say power, or we say power company. All right. They published, it was just not a particular goal which they successfully, they were able to publish a paper. They publicized a paper, all right, as SMART. Clear? And it was designed for the management company base, all right, in short I'm writing. It was designed for management goals and objective, to able to achieve management goals and objectives. So these are the three people, okay, who are important to able to get that, like, you know, they have the name behind it and the history, and they had able to publish a paper called SMART. That's what we are globally right now following it. Clear? Please make a note, project charter includes all the factor as a SMART. Got it? So project charter is able to bifurcate their minute details. That means it is adopted the SMART, you know, SMART sets of SMART, acronym, the template, which is, we also get the template. The similar one, the project charter has been referred to. All right. Next one, scope statement. Scope statement is, it help us to understand what are the excluding factor. That means very important to understand what are the primary factor and secondary factor. So project statement help us to understand which factor we're supposed to eliminate for the current process. All right. And what can be included. Including factor means which can be important. Primary factor would be product families, geographical areas, departments, co-departments, parallel, colleagues, all right, co-colleagues who are part-timers employees, part-timer subject matter expert, all right. So those are the factors. So it gives a complete bifurcation, what are included, what are excluded from the project, all right. It also helps us to understand the physical boundaries of the area to be working. That is the working hours, location, parameters, all right. Everything is covered in minute, all right. Next slide, timeline and team member.
Timeline. The timeline for DMAC Six Sigma project describes the times for the completion of each of the 5 phases: define, measure, analyze, improve, and control in a 6-step development process. 6. Team members. The team members sections includes all the resources that are required to work on this project. Typically mentioned are the project sponsors, key stakeholders, team members, and subject matter experts.
So we're talking about here DMAC. If you see, DMAC has 5 steps. All right. So the similar project charter is able to for us to cover up the completion. It is giving us a blueprint how we'll able to complete the same process under all the 5 stages. Clear? Second thing, DMAC is also a 5-step phase, but a 5 steps phase with a 6-step development process. Why 6-step development process? Why additional one? Because all the phases are interlinked. They're chained with each other. I repeat again, they are chained with each other. And because the 6 Sigma, the term is called as 6 Sigma because all the 6 has a referred to one standard deviation. I'm going to explain that in detail. One standard deviation, all right, or the summation. Everything would be explained, okay? What is summation? What is statistics? Everything will be explained with the help of the whiteboard. I'll share later. Clear? And when we were learning the 3 factors, I'll share all why the 6 Sigma is called 6, 5, and 7. Why 6 Sigma is having 6 steps will be covered over here. Let me just show you for team members. Okay. Next one, team members. Who are the team members involved? Who are the part-timers team members? Who are the shared employees? You know what is shared employees? That means they're working with multiple projects and what duration they'll be spending. All right. So for example, Mr. Vinod Kumar. I'm sorry, Mr. Vinod Natarajan, sir. So Mr. Vinod, sir, would be working for multiple projects and he will be assigned for project number A, duration, project number B, duration. So all the duration also would be mentioned very clearly so that there is uniformity practices and there is no chaotic situation. All right. So here it helps us to understand who will be the project sponsors, key stakeholders, who will be the Lean Six Sigma deployment leader, who are the SMEs. So every particular employee's name and the designation would be precisely mentioned and the time duration also. Noted? Process mapping. Under process mapping, we have important factor called SIPOC, which also called as SIPOC. Suppliers input, process, output, customer. Let's begin. Kindly continue. Process mapping.
A process map comprises all tasks done in a workflow as well as the individuals that execute those actions. In a process map, you may use a number of symbols to represent concepts, deadlines, people, and activities. Process mapping is used to assist a group of people in planning and understanding how to complete a task. A team may discuss and accomplish a project more effectively by breaking it down into manageable tasks and clearly defining who is accountable for each phase. Process mapping may be used to outline complete corporate process and aids in organization.
Please make a note who introduced or who invented practically. That was Sir Frank Gilbert. He was American industrialist, I can say. All right. And he was an efficiency engineer. You have a designation called efficiency engineer. All right. Efficiency engineer invented the process mapping way back in the year 1921. Yeah, way back in the year 1921. And again, he published it like a paper. That time we didn't have social media platform, obviously. So we didn't have any kind of online website practicality. So we have publishing papers. So even he published the papers. Okay, he published a paper and the title it was Project or Process. Sorry, it was his project to publish the paper. He took it as a very personal thing and very interesting. Has a very interesting history. Next one, that is he published a paper that's called as Process Chart. It was first called as Process Chart, which is also known as the meaning of the term process chart was he invented that the first steps in finding the one best way. Correct? All the company says we have 10 best thing, we have 100 best thing to do the work. All the process mapping says is, why don't we find one best thing? First step is finding the one best thing to able to proceed in the manufacturing industry. Clear? And he has submitted this paper, very well-known forum. He submitted the paper to American Society of Mechanical Engineer, ASME. American Society of Mechanical Engineers. Process mapping, please make a note. Process mapping is also known as, I type it here, the very well-known flow chart. Do not get confused. Flow chart and process mapping. It was used to, that time used to term as flow charting. So process mapping, every particular map in Six Sigma has a lot of history, to cover. So I'm just covering it all up here, and which will not be covered in the next sets of module. All right, let's begin. So the first one, a process map. What is a process map? It's a visual tool which help us to understand the workflow of individual who is executing those action. Process map has used a lot of symbols, concept, deadline, people, activities. All right. Process map helping us to assist a group of people in planning and understanding both the factor. First, what do we're not just implementing, we are mapping, we are planning, we are understanding. All right. We discuss about the accomplishment more effectively. We break down the manageable tasks, understand who's going to be accountable for the phase. Because it's, at the end of any kind of glitches, we are always ready for the blame game. Rather than that, we always put up the accountable factor. All right. So how would I say, so like, for example, have you seen architectures? Anybody here in your family learning architecture? No? Okay. Have you seen they're holding like a big kind of holder, like behind their back whenever they're learning about any kind of, like basically they have from the first year itself. So the architectures start with the process mapping in reality, if you see. All right. They create the visual tools, the visual draft. It's a technique for the visual representation, specifically for business architecture. Heard? Engineering graphs was also a type of process mapping. Again, I repeat, a type of process mapping, not exactly process mapping. Types of process mapping. Let's begin.
Your process map may be used for a variety of activities such as planning and managing people and projects. Here are 6 different types of process maps and when to utilize them. Basic flowchart. A basic flowchart is the most basic design for process mapping. A simple flowchart visualizes the process by using shapes, developing new initiatives, documenting business processes, problem solving, assisting teams in communicating ideas.
So basic flowchart. What is basic flowchart? Chart which is easily available. This is one of those flowchart which is, see the term, do not get confused. Process mapping is also called as flowchart, and we will use the word flowchart from this slide onwards. All right. Okay. So now flowchart is that kind of a chart which is accepted by global industry, taking from HR, manufacturing, architectural, business attribution processes, services, every industry pickup. Basic flowchart is available for them. All right. You can develop new initiative, document business process, problem solving, assisting and communicating ideas. The basic flowchart is utilized in, it is the most common, most general flowchart, and is applied in mostly all the types of industry in today's world. All right. Next slide. Kindly continue.
Value stream mapping. A value stream map depicts the sequence of events that leads to the delivery of a product to customers. This flowchart might assist you in identifying waste in your product distribution process. Value stream maps are most effective when documenting the movement of information and materials, determining the emphasis of future initiatives, and attempting to comprehend decision-making procedures.
All right, great. So what is value stream mapping? Value stream mapping, again, it's a visual tool. See, under define phase, please understand the strategy. Under define phase, we are using all the tool, which is a visual tool. All right, please make a note. Under define phase, we are usually maximum tools which are using are the visual tools, visual maps, visual charts tools. All right, value stream mapping. We understood about how practically we have to supposed to proceed further. Let's understand a little bit of theoretical part about it. That is, it was the VSM, it's also termed as VSM, was originated in the year 1950s by the company, the Toyota. Right? Simple. Toyota company, 1950s, and the VSM was introduced under the Lean Enterprise Institute. They have an institute called, please make a note. Who's running this institute? Lean Enterprise Institute. It's also called as, termed as LEI. Please make a note. Toyota has already been introduced in the 20th century. This was the 20th century time when Toyota has introduced the VSM in the 1998 through the LEI. This concept was 1950s, but it interpreted, that means they were able to apply the thought concept, this concept, from 1998 onwards. That means they were able to, as I said, Toyota is a very secretive company. They didn't share these concept strategies to the global world. They shared through this Lean Enterprise Institute in the year 1998. And what about this Lean Enterprise Institute? Was founded by 1997 by the management expert called James Womack. All right. It's always better to have this kind of institute as a forum, because this will be helping you all in a many, it's like a networking team. It would be helping you to understand the latest trends, latest update. It's a non-for-profit body based in Boston, but yes, it is online presence as well, called Lean Enterprise Institute, Inc. Noted, everybody? All right, what is VSM? VSM, it is sequential based. It's like chronological order. It is helping us to understand where do we start with the process, what are the complexity of the process, and where do we get the deliverables of the process. Sequences of the event, right? From starting, inception, to the end, to the deliverables, to the end customer. So this flowchart helping us to identify waste in your product, in a product distribution line. If I have 10 particular sets of process lines, all right, which of them have waste, it helps us to identify, and it also helps us to take future decision to eliminate them. Simple. All right. Next slide. VSM, value chain mapping. VCM is the additional sets of VSM, or you can say extension one of That means to able to create the VCM, you should able to have the detail of the VSM. Noted everybody? I repeat again. To able to create VCM, you should have the VSM data or the graph or a diagram handy with you. So after you have a VSM, then you can create a higher version, that is a VCM after VSM. All right. So this VCM, value chain map, helping us to understand the core operation of a company. This is a high level process map. What is it? It is an advanced level of the VSM or advanced level of the process map. Process map is also called as
Flowchart.
flowchart. Very good. It is helping us to understand the VSM can be useful. That means they're not going to be into specific activities. They're talking about the overview or bigger picture, all right, of the company. It helping us to identify the steps, bigger steps, taking the business procedure ahead, establishing a business procedure. Instead, we can also talk about, like, you can talk about franchisee options, partnership options, third party, vendor, payrolls, not payrolls, vendor management. All right. Next one would be supplier details. So these are the factors can be mapped out with the help of the VCM. Clear? VCM is the higher version of the VSM. Next one, cross-functional mapping. Kindly continue.
A cross-functional map, also known as a streamline diagram, defines the links between phases of process and identifies the individuals or systems that engage in the process. Cross-functional mapping is used by business when identifying the important roles in the process and their relationships to one another, demonstrating how a process works throughout the organization, identifying failures, redundancies, and other issues that may have an impact on the process.
Sir Rumler, that is Mr. Gary Rumler, and Mr. Alan Bracke, they are the one who developed the model of swim lane. Okay, swim lane, not the cross-functional. Later, the cross-functional comes later. They developed the model. It was the model. First time they did it, the model of swim lane diagram, which is also known in some countries, which is also called as a cross-functional diagram. And they did it very recently, 1990s. And this is a very small picture of the big concept called process mapping. This entire term, as I mentioned, it is how old it was. I'll just say this, the entire thing. It is process mapping had been used by, okay, I'm not directly going to give you the answer. Which country symbols, denotions are used for Six Sigma and Lean Six Sigma? Which countries denotions? So process mapping is as old as Greek letter. It was introduced. Process mapping was introduced by the ancient Greeks. Just not Greeks. Just not today's Greeks. Ancient Greeks and Romans both together, but Romans were a little laid off. Ancient Greeks at the time of Alexander in the 6th century BC. Imagine 6th century BCE. It's a present of history. All right, I'm not going to put down the name, not important, but as important concept is 6th century, which is a very, very old. All right. And they use this for cartography. That is the Geographia. All right. That contain Ptolemy's world map, which is also be known as World Society Ukimi. Okay, that's coming up, going way too much ahead. All I'm saying is it is a cross-functional mapping. There's a process mapping was introduced by the ancient Greeks and the Romans together. Romans, they had done the refinement part, but it was by the ancient Greeks in the 6th century. Clear? Okay. Now come back to the topic about the cross-functional mapping, which was the later stage of refinement of the process mapping, which is very recent in 1990. They both came together. Both of them has an own background of experting. They first created swim lane diagram. All right. Swim lane means which is defining the link of the processes. What are the linking part? Just like define to, for example, define phase to measure phase. What are the linking part we'll able to understand with the help of cross-functional mapping? All right. It is helping us to understand how the business can be linked together. For example, the raw materials the leftover raw materials of the previous processes. How can we use the leftover raw materials to the future processes? Clear? Simple? How we can leverage the resources. Identify the important roles in the relationship. Demonstrate how the process works through, and identify the failures, redundancy. What do you mean by redundancies?
Repetitions.
Very good. Repeated and not required. Please make a note. Repeated and no longer required are redundancies. There could be redundant data in your system, in your computer, in your company system. There could be redundant sets of equipment. There are many equipment, if you realize, if you're in the manufacturing industry, which is just dumped or which is just pride of the company. And this was the first type of product or manufacturing equipment, right? So these kind of equipments or data can be called as redundant. Required, which is repeated but no longer required, or no longer required, right? Not longer required. And other issues that may be impacted on the processes. The critical factor help us to understand through the cross-functional mapping. Clear? At the measure stage, we would be understanding how we're able to apply this concept. All right. At the define stage, we're just giving you introduction of the history as well as practicality, where you can see or how you're able to implement or perform or create or conduct this graph tools and techniques with the help of QI or process map MA. Please make a note. Kindly also download process MA. You have to click on file, click on add-ins. That's it. And then click on process MA. I guess I've shared a link to you all as well, tutorial link. Because process MA has additional sets of tools and techniques, which is not a part, those are not a part of the QI. There are certain sets. So kindly, if you have two systems, that would be great. If not, then you can do it under one system. Try to do it. All right. Okay. Next one, detailed process mapping. Kindly continue.
A detailed process map is specific in that it depicts all of the intricacies involved in a business process. This form of process map aids in determining what events or actions a corporation must accomplish in order to attain the desired outcome. A detailed process map can be useful when documenting a process choices, identifying all of the intricacies involved in a business process.
Detailed process mapping. As I said, process mapping. Who invented process mapping? Which year it was? 1990s, 1900s, early 1990s. Yes. By whom? I'm talking about process mapping. Frank Gilbert. See, it's mentioned on the beginning of the session, beginning of the process mapping, the subtopics. I talked about Sir Frank Gilbert. All right. Please make a note. Sir Frank Gilbert invented process mapping in 1900s. The origin is 6th century BC by the Greeks. That is a different story. But now, for today's generation, academically, it is Frank Gilbert, invented in 1900s. All right. Okay. So now, process mapping with a detailed process mapping. It is helping us to add all the intricacies. What is intricacies?
Different steps.
Correct. Different steps, minute steps. All right. Big or small, but something which is much more complex. Please make a note. Complexity. Intricacies itself means complexity. All right. Minute complexities or a bigger complexity, but depends on the detail factor. So it's helping us to understand the detail of the process and which can be achieved in order to attain desired outcome, because these factors are directly, or you can say directly, affecting the desired outcome. A detailed process is helpful in which situation? Number one, when you're documenting a process choices, that means if you have multiple choices, which choice you're supposed to proceed further. Number two, identifying all the intricacies involved in the business process. Understanding if I have one process, how many number of complexity I have to go through for that one particular process to be able to successfully give me outcomes. Clear? Next slide. SIPOC.
SIPOC is an acronym that stands for Supply, Inputs, Processes, Outputs, and Consumers. SIPOC is a process map that employs these features and data to provide an overview of the company's process. SIPOC is a process map that comes in handy when defining a difficult process, identifying the process elements, measuring a process improvement.
So the SIPOC has a lot of story again. I'll make it much more simplified. Okay. The SIPOC has a big story. Who was the Who is the father and the co-founder of Six Sigma? Mr. William Bill Smith. Mr. William Bill Smith. Okay, the father, I'll just type it, father and co-founder together
Michael Harvin.
invented, yes, in the year 1986. They invented SIPOC in the Motorola. All right. For the Motorola to able to mitigate the waste, they invented SIPOC. Now understood? How did they mitigate the waste? With the help of SIPOC. Now, later what happened? In the year 1980s, it was earlier, as I said, Motorola was already following, but never gave an accomplishment. Motorola was already following in 1980s under the TQM system. What is the TQM system?
Total quality management.
Yes, total quality management. All right. And which was developed by Philip Crosby. The simplification tool. What was developed by? I'll put it here. Under TQM, SIPOC is a simplification of a tool called the process. Please do not get confused. Process map versus process model. So how do we able to utilize or perform the SIPOC? SIPOC is performed through a term called process model, all right, which was then developed by Sir Philip Crosby. Okay, Sir Philip Crosby in the year 1980s itself. All right, 1980s have a different story. Founder, co-founder invented in the 1986 has a different story. So it has gone to a lot of refinement, worked, refined, re-equipped, reworked, understood, like, minor changes has been different, lot of manipulations, lot of alterations has been done for able to achieve what we have today, the ready-made handy tools. Clear? That is SIPOC. Okay, so SIPOC is a very unpretentious, I would say, and intuitive process diagramming tool, which is helping us to identify the suppliers, it's an acronym. SIPOC is an acronym, we'll be covering up later. It's helping us to understand the suppliers, the input factors, the processes, the output, and the consumers. SIPOC can also be reframed into different acronym. All right, I'll be covering it up. But here, SIPOC maps, helping us to understand what are the features and data provided to an overview. SIPOC is an overview, but it's very intuitive. All right, intuitive in understanding what comes in handy way. So at which situation you're able to perform SIPOC or utilize SIPOC would be when you're defining a difficult process. If you have difficult process, you're unable to define them, use a SIPOC. Second, if you're unable to understand the process elements, and if you're taking up a decision of elimination but unable to do so, you can use SIPOC. And third is when you want to measure the process improvement. How much improvement have you done comparing to your past processes? You can then use the SIPOC. Understood? Next slide for SIPOC. Kindly continue.
SIPOC is a process mapping and improvement method that summarizes the inputs and outputs of one or more processes. Some organizations use the opposite acronym COPIS, which puts the customer requirements first and illustrates the value of the customer to the organization. SIPOC stands for Suppliers, Inputs, Process, Outputs, and Customers. The term originates from the 1980s and is a part of the total quality movement, which today includes lead manufacturing and business process management disciplines.
SIPOC is a process mapping, one of the process mapping tool, visual tool, all right? It is helping you to understand that what are the inputs and the outputs, summarized basically, for one or more processes under one diagram itself, all right? In some organization, you are using COPIS. The COPIS would be, that is customer, output, process, inputs, and supplier. All right, it would be vice versa, COPIS, depending if it's a company is a manufacturing industry or any other domain. All right, any other industry basically. So you can put the customer requirement first and then help us to understand the value of the customer's organization. That means you are creating a manufacturing system based on the customer's requirement. All right, that is COPIS. This kind of companies also termed as customer-centric companies. The term originated, the SIPOC originated in 1980s under the TQM by which today we included as lean manufacturing businesses or by the project management disciplines itself. The term SIPOC. All right. Next slide, kindly continue.
Cloud-based work and project management software project management manager helps you to organize tasks to better execute them. For example, you can gather all the data from your SIPOC in a task list and then assign tasks, set priorities, and even see the status of the work once it begins. Our multiple project view lets you work how you want.
All right, digital project management. Have you heard about digital project manager? Like, using smart sheets. You can use Zoho projects. Those project managers who use Zoho as a project. Next one could be smart sheets, monday.com. All right, you are using different type of tools here. All right, cloud-based project would be the best is Minitab. Under any softwares, the best tab is Minitab, I would say. QI Macros is nothing in front of Minitab. All right, it's just a smaller version, simplified version. But QI Macros you should be able to download. I'll be able to share you. So you're able to perform SIPOC with the help of the Minitab. All right, which they have been using real time and which is globally acclaimed and globally accepted tab for the Lean Six Sigma tools and techniques. That is Minitab. All right. So under Minitab, you'll be able to gather all the data from your SIPOC. That is the suppliers, input. Then if you have other factors here and all the factors of SIPOC. If it's for the COPIS, if it's reversed as well. All right. Both you're collecting the data and then you're taking a list, assigning the data, assigning the task, setting up the priority, and then checking the work once it's done or once it begins. You can able to also do multiple projects, just not one, which is under the similar sets of SIPOC strategy with the help of Minitab. Clear? Next one. Kindly continue.
The emphasis is on recording the collection of inputs or outputs rather than the individual process stages. Suppliers, providers of inputs into a process, inputs, resources such as materials needed to complete the process, steps that convert inputs to outputs, product or service created from the process, customers, recipients of outputs.
So, suppliers, inputs, process, outputs, and customers. Simple. What is the real application of SIPOC? For example, the manufacturing company creating a new product line. It is using a new product line using SIPOC, then the diagram of the process includes then the diagram. For example, if you have to create a new product line, for that you need to understand who would be my third-party payroll, suppliers, vendors, my stock, inventors, raw material gathering, they'll become my suppliers. All right. Inputs. What are the inputs we have to put in for the manufacturing? What are the equipments and tools and techniques and methodology we have to follow? That would be my inputs. Processes. What type of processor will we proceed further? What type of complex computation will be using? That would be my processes. All right. Processes will help you to convert the input into output. My output is the exact product I have curated with the help of the entire previous sets of processes. And finally, my product is already ready to able to dispatch as a procurement, as a logistic for the customer. Clear? That's the entire cycle of the SIPOC. VOC, voice of customer. This is going to be very general. Voice of customer means a customer speaking out their feedback through social media listing, focus groups, surveys, email, chatbots, call data, customer reviews, and NPS. We'll be learning about this in detail. Let's proceed.
Voice of the customer research is a technique used by the organizations to better understand their customers. It helps learn more about business consumers' behavior, difficulties, preferences, and requirements, allowing a business to better service and interact with them. VOC data collected in a number of ways informs practically every element of modern business.
Okay. Now, VOC is voice of the customer. Understanding the technique, we are using the feedback method, right? We also use, right? Give me a stars. Please tell us how many stars you like to give us for services, for any other mobile application. Yes or no? We give them stars, correct? Right? To understand the consumer's behavior, understanding their preferences, understand how do we give them better services, how we're supposed to interact with them. So the voice of customers, they're collecting the data in a number of ways. Informs practicality approach as well as element of modern business ways. Now, going back to the topic, what is NPS? All right. NPS, please make a note. NPS stands for Net Promoter Score. 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 It's a metric used by the company to understand customers' experiences. It's also calls under customer experience program. They run a program, CEP, customer experience program, where they understand based on the NPS, we find out how many are the loyal customer for your company. It is a measure that help us to understand how many customer loyalty or how many are loyal customer a company have. So it works on a scale of 0 to 10, basically. 0, we know it is a low, you don't like your services. 10 is the best. A positive NPS. So 10 becomes the positive NPS. That there are more people who recommend your product and services. Clear? It's a global way you can we can understand your customer. NPS formula. NPS is equal to percentage of promoters subtract by percentage of detractors. Percentage of promoters subtract by percentage of detractors. What is detractors? Example, 50% of respondents are promoters. All right. See, there are many times, you just randomly give the feedback. We not always give the genuine feedback. Yes. But if we have to give any negative feedback, we give a full list. That's a human psychology. Yes or no? We give a very huge list of negativity, starting from the end. What did happen? What did happen? Why did it happen bad? Who did it bad? What they could do better? Correct? That is a factor called detractors. Okay. Passive, giving passive sets of feedback. Not genuine feedback, but like they want to give genuine, but they're like, okay, we are just done. We don't have to give the full detail about it. We just liked it for the sake of liking it. All right. So promote, like, if you have 50%, that means if 50 people are giving you the feedback, okay, 50 of the people, all right, 50% or 50 of the people giving you the feedback, all right, if they are promoters, 10% are detractors, 10% detractors, and 40% are passive people. 40 are who? Passive people. 40. Got it? Passively giving the feedback. All right. Next slide. That is called as NPS. Kindly continue VOC.
VOC is used by support personnel to anticipate and address client problems. Through VOC, sales teams learn how to successfully address customer pain points and objections. Product teams create product roadmaps by using VOC research to uncover consumer demands, perceived product value, and gaps between the two. The increased emphasis on the voice of the customer research matches the shift to customer-centric organizations. It is a critical tool in assisting firms in increasing revenue, retaining more customers, and lowering operational expenses such as support.
Again, just like the SIPOC was invented by whom?
William Bill Smith and
William
Michael
Smith.
Harry.
Exactly. Both together, they started with the SIPOC, which is also used in the TQM. That is your correct. All right. Now, the point here is likewise, VOC was again developed by the father of Six Sigma as well as the co-founder, written and published by the co-founder. So the first introduced voice of customer was understood by the father of Six Sigma. All right. That's the history. Now, okay, back to the topic. It is VOC is helping us to anticipate, understand the customer feedback, and understanding, interpreting the feedback into, so we have to take the feedbacks as a requirement for the company. It should be that feedback should understand the pain factor. Pain factor means that feedback should be considered as the main important critical factor for the company, and they should make the necessary changes in their products or services. Product teams create product roadmaps. All right. Is it a product team? We have a product team, right? Product development team who create a roadmap by using the voice of customer. They research the uncover consumer demand. Uncover means, for example, if your product is failing, we invented 2 products, and out of that, product A is really good. Product B is no sales at all. If the product B is not selling at all, that means it is giving us clear indication that the customers are not happy with the product, and we need to understand the gap between the both. All right. It increases in the voice of customer reaches the shift to customer-centric organization. That's why company is directly shifting to customer-centric organization, changing as per the customer requirement. That's it. All right. Just like, for example, Apple, before even, it has been launched, the product has already been pre-booked. People stand like a queue, like they stand in the grocery store, right? They stand in the queue to buy the product. Because they are working as per the customer center, they take the feedback very, very seriously, and they're already putting those kind of technology pre-handly as per the taking the feedback of the customer. That's how the latest version keeps on having the more and more sales. It's a critical tools assisting firms and increasing revenue, retaining more customers, having the loyal database, keeping intact the loyal customer, and lowering the operational expenses as support. All right. If you have a good customer-centric approach company, you will be having less customer grievances, and then you'll be having lowering the operational expenses. Now, voice of customer. How do we understand to identifying? First, understanding whether they were a customer or not. All right. Not randomly taking up the customer's grievances, collecting the customer data, the pieces, the units which have sold, analyzing the customer data, and then determining the critical customer requirements. Let's understand detail. So how do we identify customer? Through interview customer, through surveying, through paying attention to the social media. So we have two types of companies you have seen, right? On, for example, Facebook. Have you noticed there are many companies who turn their comment section off? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Right? So would you rely on such companies who are keeping their comments off?
No, we don't rely on
exactly. We cannot rely on such companies, correct? So if the company is transparent, this company is good enough, they keep the comment section on so that the customer can able to put their reviews, put their feedbacks, correct? Next one, listening to recorded customer calls, very common. Monitoring the customer reviews, measuring your NPS. We learned about NPS already, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Next one, conducting the focus groups, offering feedback form. We all know the feedback form. Talking to the customer, facing the employees, and mapping the customer UX. What is UX stands for? Customer experiences. Please make a note. Now, two types of customer. We've already discussed about it. Kindly continue this slide.
Identify customers, internal customer, external customer. Internal customers, employees, downstream users, example, engineering in the downstream users of R&D. Plant might be the downstream users of engineering department. Many department may be the downstream users of personal department.
As I already explained about the internal customer and external customer, those people, they could be an engineer of your own company who works for the research and development. Why? Because they're trying a product and services. They're testing it. They're verifying it before it has been officially launched for the real customer, the external customer. Clear? Okay. Next one, the external customer. Kindly continue.
External customers, end users, those who purchase a product or service for their own use. Intermediate customers, those who purchase the product or service and then resell, repackage, modify, or assembly the product for sale to the end user. Impacted parties, those who did not purchase or use the product but would be the impacted by it.
Okay, who are the end users?
Who are consuming the product.
Consuming the product. Very good. End users. Who are the intermediate customer? Example, vendors. See, those who purchase the product or services and then resell, repackage, modify, assembly the product for sale for the end users. These are the small sets. For example, we have huge demand of crackers in India. Those are intermediate sellers. All right. Next one, the last one. What do you think about impacted parties? Who could be they? Very interesting this is. Okay, I'll tell you. Impacted parties means who did not purchase the product. But basically, as per the marketing terms, this is a marketing term. This is children are not purchasing the product, like for example, Kinder Joy, but it has been impacted to them. All right, but it is for them. So it is impacted for the purchase needs to be done by the parents. Clear? If the customer says, I want a food with that is very good, it should be very good and it should have fruit salad. That means I want a food that is very good, fruit salad. So drivers means what are the important point the company should understand from this statement should be the food should be tasty, it should be in the good temperature and the good quantity. CTQ, critical to quality factor, would be the customer requires fruits in the salad. Not rich is too much of the sweet. They don't want too much of the sweet. Not cold less than 15 degree and grams should not less than 200. Why? Because you have to work as per the cost factor for the company as well, right? So let us understand in detail the VOC. Kindly continue.
The term voice of the customer refers to the in-depth process of correcting a client's expectations, preferences, and aversions, both stated and unstated. Customers' voices may be occurred in a variety of methods, including interviewing them and monitoring how they use the product or service as well as employing focus groups and surveys. By paying attention to what customers have to say about products and services, VOCs can assist businesses in understanding why customers buy from them and how they use the products or services they have supply. Companies can use this information to enhance their products and services.
So it's very simple, like simplified to mention here. VOC is the in-depth process of collecting clients' expectation, preferences, aversion. Some things are stated. Some things then they say very clearly, we don't like your product. Some things are not stated, like we can, that means the product can include something more as per the customer's requirement. So here, it is a variety of method. You can interview them, monitor them, give them free sample, ask the groups or the surveys. You can pay attention to the customer, how they talk about your product and services. VOC helps company to understand the customer and why customers are buying from them and how the products are used and supplied. Company uses information to enhance the product and services. All right. Next slide, CTQ.
The challenge with gathering information from customers is that it is confusing and difficult to define. The critical to quality are the key attributes of a product or service that your customers have defined as being important. These are what help us understand what steps in our process are value added, as these critical to quality characteristics help define the value. The CTQ is the difference between value added and non-value added. To understand CTQ, we must first understand what the customer values. So we need to identify and prioritize who our customer are. Using this data, we then determine the list of CTQ requirements.
All right. So here CTQ requirements is very difficult to understand. Why difficult? Because sometimes customers are not using the product as the company has designed and sold. I'm going to give you a very interesting case study in some moment. All right. So it helping us to understand the customer, the process, that is called as value added activities, and two-factor non-value added activities. Okay. Value added activities, non-value added activities. Okay. So as per the customer approach, it should be always value added activities, which should be critical quality to able to help to define the value for the customer. So CTQ is helping us to understand both value added and non-value added. It is helping us to understand both the bifurcation, but value and not non-value as per the custom company, not the company, but the customer perspective. So to first, we have to understand the CTQ. We have to first understand what are the factors valuation for the company. So we need to identify and prioritize who really our customers are. When you're using the data, you should be able to understand the list of the CTQ requirement.
Characteristics of product or service. A term or phrase that describes some feature of the product or service. Consider the dry cleaning procedure time. Measure and operational definitions. A description of how the characteristics of the product or service will be measured. A given property can be quantified in a variety of ways. For example, the unit used to quantify the time between when the clothes are delivered to the cleaner and when they are available for collection hours.
All right. Now, first we got to understand the characteristics of what we are selling as a product or services. That means some features of the product or services. Now, they take an example of a dry clean procedure time. That means you can take the example of how to quantify the time between when the clothes are delivered to the cleaner and when they are available for the collection hours. Nowadays, there's a particular system of dry clean called 24-hour services. Yes or no? They deliver you the services within 24 hours. How did they understand that the customer required 24 hours? They understood the customer's requirement. Now everybody is having a fast life. Tier 1 cities, Tier 2 cities, correct? They need everything quickly, handy. So that's how they came up with the approach of 24 hours delivery services. Clear? Next one. Kindly continue.
Target values.
Sorry, go
ahead.
Continue.
Target values, the purpose of the product or service. If the product or service did not vary, this is the value that would always be uptime. It is the ideal level of performance. For example, garments ready in 24 hours. Next is specification limits. How much variance in product or service delivery is the client ready to accept? Specification limitations are acceptable performance limits for the client. For example, the maximum duration allowed for the dry cleaning procedure is 28 hours.
The same example carry forward. Thank you. That is a target value is, that is, they are keeping a setting of example. Garment should be ready by 24 hours. That is a customer approach. But the company is saying we might take a approach of 28 hours on a safer side. What if we are delaying in the process? Clear? All right. Next slide. Defect rates.
Defect rates. This is the frequency with which the manufacturer is willing to provide a product or service that falls outside of the specified limitations. For instance, 3.4 falls per million opportunities.
Yes, we'll be learning in the next set of session. The first thing we'll be doing, why we're learning about 3.4, why it's 3.4, what do you mean by 3.4, why Six Sigma have 6 standard deviation, all right? Why Six Sigma have 3 standard deviation, and why Six Sigma is called 6, not 5 and 7. These questions will be covered, all right? So defect rates. Next one, VOC to CTQ. How do we do it? First, VOC is voice of customer. Segment means from where the customer feedback came in. Online social media platform, offline surveys, how, and where they're supposed to need to be targeted. Second, gather the verbatim. Verbatim verb means action word. All right. So determine the services quality issue. Translate the need statement into develop the CTQ factor. The need should be able to interpret the requirement factor for the company. So project Y metric output would be the characteristics. Customer requirements determines quantifiable process metrics as per the city. Next one, KANO model. KANO model have delighters. It has 3 factors, important factor. Delighters, more is better, and must be. Let's understand KANO model.
The KANO model is a method of determining the effects of services or product attributes on customer satisfaction. According to the concept, a product or service is about more than simply functioning. It is also about the emotions of customers. The KANO model is a paradigm for prioritizing features depending on how much they will satisfy or delight customers. In other words, a model that assists in prioritizing features depending on how much they will pressure people. After getting client input, the KANO model is applied, VOC, frequently used in conjunction with QFD during the define phase of a Six Sigma project's DMAC.
So here, KANO model, little bit of history about KANO model. That is, KANO model has been invented by Dr. Noriaki Kano, putting it here. Noriaki Kano. Who was he? He was a professor. He was a professor at Quality Management in Tokyo. The name itself, everything, says everything. In Tokyo University of Science. All right. And this KANO model was invented in the year 1984. Noted? Based on that, Noriaki Kano, the term KANO came into picture, and they kept all the invention and development, all this there after their surname. So it's like KANO model. This method was helping us to understand the effect of services or product attributes on the customer satisfaction. What is the effect on the KANO model on the customer satisfaction? According to the concept, product or services, how much is simplified? It's more about emotion of the customer. How customers get emotionally connected to the product, right? KANO model is understand the prioritizing the features depending on how much they will satisfy or delight the customer. All right, understanding how much the customers are by default going to be purchasing your product, because now they're used to it. They're going to be a loyal customer, and that's a pleasure factor. It is helping people to get desirable feeling, emotionally connected. So after getting client input, the KANO model is applied on VOC. All right. Frequently in conjunction. What do you mean by conjunction? Connecting words, right? Phrases,
Yes.
collaborating together, correct? So when you're collaborating together, this particular factor model applies. What are you collaborating together? Conjunction with the QFD. Please make a note. What does the QFD stands for? The 6 belts. You have green belts, right?
Yes.
Covered in the green belts. What is QFD in the green belt? QFD as per the defined phase in the green belt. Please make a note. All right. Quality function deployment. Quality function deployment. This is again, it is helping us to define the customer needs or translating into specific plans and procedure. Now, one more thing. QFD is a DMAC or DMADD. QFD is applied in both. Please make a note. QFD is applied in both DMAC as well as DMADD. Please make a note. This QFD going to be a very big sets of module in your Master Black Belt course. Let's proceed further. Kindly continue.
Threshold characteristics, performance attributes, and excitement attributes are three sort of attributes assigned to products and services by the model. You may determine the influence of a product or service on customer satisfaction by assigning it to an attribute. Number one, threshold attributes, the basics ones. These are the basic features that customers expect a product or service to have.
So here, KANO model have three elements. All right, threshold characteristics or threshold attributes, which is the basics, performance attributes, and excitement attributes. All right. Now, the first one, before jumping up the first one, these three attributes or features which are assigned to your products by the model. That means how it does it make the customer feel or the consumer feel about your product. All right, which also help us understand the influencing the power behind the influential, how influential is the product or services, and how much level of satisfaction does it assigns to your customer. The first one, threshold. Threshold means basic. This is a basic feature. That means the customer expect a product services, they should have the basic features. All right, moving further, kindly continue. So basic one is something which should have. All right, I'll give the example. Let's complete all the three.
Performance attributes, the satisfiers. These elements are not essential, but they improve a customer's enjoyment of the product or service. Next one is excitement attributes, that is delighters. These are the unexpected variables that might significantly increase the competitiveness of your goods. They are the characteristics that buyers don't even realize they desire until they find them.
All right. So here the first one is basic. Basic means that, for example, if you're booking up a hotel room, all right, what do you expect the basic service to have? The water heater, all right, basic services, cleanliness, all right. In case if you have children with you, then the children playing area, the basic expectation a customer would have from a product or services, all right. So here in this basic one, customers will not say the requirement, that, but this is basic. A company should understand it should be able to deliver the basic concept. Clear? All right. Like rechargeable EV batteries. Clear? For example, if we have electric scooter vehicle coming up, selling in a larger manner, in a larger unit, you should also have a battery charging point. That's a basic, correct? Next one, performance attributes. Performance attributes means you are satisfying it. All right. Example, again, I'm going to take us, you can take, satisfiers can be like those if these factors are not essential, but it's helping us to customers' enjoyment of product or services. What they could be, for example, if the customers not essential, that means, for example, Amazon Prime. Heard about Amazon Prime, right? It will be very happy. The customer gets satisfied if you're delivering the product on a 1-day delivery time, correct? It improves the customer's enjoyment, but it's not necessary for the enjoyment. Customers are ready to pay for more. All right, correct? That's a satisfied factor. It's not essential to get a delivery, 1-day delivery, but it helps us to improve the customer's improvement or enjoyment factor. They're enjoying a product or services. Next one, excitement attributes. Excitement delighters. These are unexpected variables, right? Increasing the competitiveness of your goods. That means the characteristic the buyer doesn't even realize a desire until they find them. What did it, for example, product like, when you go to buy electronic gadgets, what do we get? Mobile phone with the earphone, correct? With the JBL speaker, Bluetooth speaker, yes or no? Example I'm taking, okay? Right. So you're taking mobile phone, then you realize, okay, let me buy a headphone for myself, correct? You'll buy a headphone. Then you realize, oh, let me buy a JBL, speaker for myself, right? What did they do? They keep on adding the more products. And they will say, oh, let me just sell it to you like a entire bunch, like a offer to you. So this is something not unexpected, but the buyer doesn't even realize that they want to buy until unless they find out that it's coming up like a combo pack. Clear? RACI. Kindly continue.
RACI stands for responsible, accountable, consultative, and informed. Each of the 4 components is identified as follows. Responsible, a manager or team member who is directly accountable for accomplishing a project job effectively. Accountable, the person in charge of ensuring the effective fulfillment of a certain job or project.
Okay, Sir Edmund F. Sheehan. Repeat again. Sir Edmund F. Sheehan developed this RACI, just not a metric. It is just a model. It was a metrics. It is a metrics. And he developed this in the year 1950s. All right, repeat again. Sir Edmund F. Sheehan developed RACI metrics in early 1950s. All right, this tool helps people to understand the roles and responsibilities in an organization. Simple. It's just helping us to understand who is the high level hierarchy, who's the lower level hierarchy, and who are your colleagues and co-workers. Clear? Simple accountability. All right. So responsibility, a manager who directly responsible and accountable for both. Accountable, a person who's in charge of ensuring the effective fulfillment of a certain job. Right. So here, responsible would be the manager. Correct? Accountable would be the one simple employee. All right. Next slide. Kindly continue.
Consulted, the team will confer with someone who has unique perspectives. Informed, a client or executive who isn't directly involved but should be kept informed.
Correct. So this is management tool. RACI is a metric and a management tool, all right, which is helping us to understand who should be able to consult it. Who black belt consult whom?
Green.
Black belt consult green belts?
No, champion.
Master black.
Master black belt.
Yes, the master black belt. The other one would be the champion. Champion is also called as
Master black
Other
belt.
sponsor.
sponsors. Champions are sponsors. And black belts are also works under the guidance of, which is the third one? They work as under the guidance of process owner also in some companies. All right. Black belts work under guidance of three factors. Please remember: process owner, master black belt, champion, which is also called as sponsors. All right. So consultation. Who takes the consultation? That is, the lower belts will take the consultation of the black belts, and the black belt will work with under the guidance of these respective high-level hierarchy. All right. Next one, inform. A client or executive who is not directly involved but should be kept informed. What could be example of inform then? Who are directly involved, but we should keep them in the loop of the information. Who are they? Stakeholders. Please make a note. Stockholders, shareholders, and investors of the company. Got it? Stakeholders, shareholders, stockholders, and investors of the company should be kept informed about the current process because they're investing it. The first one, quiz. Kindly continue.
The word quiz was originally used in 1781 to describe an eccentric individual. This notion is perceived in the term quizzical today. It was also used in the phrase quizzing glass, which was popular among British Regency dandies. It eventually gained the sense of making fun of or mocking. It is uncertain how it came to have its modern meaning of a test, although it did not exist until 1867 and then only in the United States. Accountable noun, a quiz is a game or a competition in which someone asks you questions to assess your knowledge. At the end of the show, there will be a quiz. Synonyms include competition, test, quiz show, and panel game. More quiz synonyms.
So we're talking about this word quiz. We're talking about it's something very general quiz, not something which is designed for Six Sigma as such, but a general base of quiz. It is as old as going back to Indian scholars, which we have during the British era. And how did we evolve? How did we know the term scholars? How do we know the term IQ? This is all set up way back in the 16th century, which has been going through different sets of competition level. So here, the first sets of quiz and testing amongst all the others to able to understand who are the toppers or the champions, different sets of scholars based on their subjects. It was all set up during the British era, British regencies and the dynasties. And it was originally used in the year 1781, termed. Now, eventually, why are we learning about this quiz? Just to basic understanding, how does the competition start up? How did we have tests? How did we have examination? It all started from this word called quiz. All right. Originally, it was originally in India already in 17th century and 16th century, but the acknowledgement came from the British. They did the acknowledgement. And this meaning of the test also did not exist until 18th century, but later the word test was introduced by the states, all right, the USA. And later, everybody else started acknowledgement, and then we have examination and the proceeding further, all right? So the quiz was a global, a certain sets of platform, which understandable, which breaks the barrier of academic knowledge, a certain sets of knowledge. That's how we have Olympiad today, all right? It has a refinement stage of Olympiad. It has, so the Olympiad today has a back history dated of the test. or the quiz, all right, which is breaking the barrier, just not the random sets of examinations which is taking in the school days, but what are the additionally how we can compete from the state level, from the national level, and able to come up as one of the most global known, icons, or in education lectures or certain sets of subjects, like we have science, we have, we have certain English, we have, in an Olympiad for now, they have different levels. So the level 1, level 2, level 3, which is competed till that age we grow up till the 18. And then it is competed till 12th standard, till 12th grade, right? So these are the sets of qualification was refined and been done for today's sets. So quiz was the origin for Olympiad, which we have today. All right. So how do we take the quiz for students? You can take it like through Classmaker. These are the applications. Raptivity, Topgrade, Flexi, and ProProfs. I have personally used Raptivity, Classmaker, and ProProfs are one of the best ones to able to take the test, quiz, analysis. That means why are we learning about all this? You can create certain sets of questionnaire using these applications. All right. You can create questionnaires, you can create tests, you can create quiz for your lower level hierarchy or for your team. Since why word quiz? Why are we learning about this? Because black belt are default as trainer. So at future, the reading sets is just not a set which I'm giving up to you like a task, but it will help you to able to speak up, and which you already are as an experienced person. But still, when you start giving and training session, there's a different level of expertise required, right? So why not take it up from today itself? And we are preparing for implementation of a black belt, which requires to be you. One of the vital role is to become a trader. That is the giving training about the Six Sigma. All right. So these are the sets of applications would be helpful for you for creating your entire syllabus. It could be customizedly done by y'all, and it should be approved by the master black belt of your company or the champions. If not the champion, then the sponsors. But it should get acknowledged and it should get authorized by the high level hierarchy before putting up in the syllabus or before putting up as a topic of presentation in your company. So quiz is going to be helping you for the information, for the long-term memory. Quiz also help us to understand who has a good memory power. All right, learning subjects all about good memory power. This is going to be helping you to detect training gaps as well and improve your material. So using this application will help you to understand the gaps in your company, where you are with the subject, and what are the actual content you have to add to able to deliver the subject. That is Six Sigma. And based on that, you can create your own presentation. All right, next one, kindly continue.
Quiz for online course. Define quiz type, choose the type of questions, select suitable questions, work on answer options, and voiceover and design questions. Add voiceover and design questions.
All right. So the point here is different types of quizzes for online courses. How you could create those, like simple sets of quizzes where we have defined the quiz types. How we could define the quiz type, different types of quizzes, questionnaire, true or false, fill in the blanks, MCQs, polling. Polling is an option, right? These are the way you can do it. Different types of questionnaires, suitable questionnaires, working on the answers, or add voice and design question. That means you can also make it like an Alexa sets of questionnaire where the questionnaire could be reading out to you, or you have an option for those who are, certain sets of challenges, all right, or differently able people. You can also add questionnaire with the help of your voice recordings. So it could be a voice sets of questionnaire. These are the kind of certain sets of courses as well as certain sets of platform which will help you to able to become one of the best skill-based trader. Let's proceed with data. Now, let me introduce to the world of data.
Data is information, especially facts, numbers, measurements, and amounts gathered for analysis or reference. The definition of the phrase also contains descriptive information about objects, plants, animals, and people. We normally gather and store data through observation. We collect information and figures to examine and analyze, which making a business choice.
All right, what is data? Data is about numbers, alpha numbers, numerics, amounts of gathering of the data, references of data. All right, there are different types of data that is contains descriptive of information. Now, do not get into that concept of descriptive data. It is a description of the data. What types of it is a data? We have objects, plants, animal things. Then we have about any kind of attributes of the global universe. All right, sensitive data. Now, let me talk about where the data is stored. Data is stored just not on your laptops, just not on a PC, but in the form of clouds. How many types of clouds do we have? Please make a note. There are 3 types of cloud. 3 types of cloud: public, private, and hybrid. Public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. All right, let me just give you first example of the public cloud-based companies. What are the public cloud-based companies? For example, those cloud which is available for global platform to able to global people, all right? Anywhere, all over the citizens can able to access, but it is a cloud which is designed for that company. For example, Amazon AWS, all right? Google Cloud, IBM, Alibaba Cloud, you might have heard about this, right? Right? Alibaba, the one of the global e-commerce platform. So what do you mean by that? That is those kind of clouds, those kind of that public cloud means that cloud which is designed for others to able to access it. So Google, when you type in on Google and you're getting all the questionnaire as the answer, correct? This is a perfect example of a public cloud where people can access your data and whatever you have shared, we're feeding in the data, which has been coming up as a popping up as a results. Correct? That's a public cloud. Next one, private cloud. Public is in private. So what do you understand by private cloud? Private cloud means what? Everybody have a portal here, your company portal.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. How do you log into your company portal?
Through login ID and password.
Login ID.
Exactly. So every company have their own portal, which is private, which is only, is it only for employees or even for the outsiders?
Only for the employees.
Only for the employees. That is called as private cloud. All right. So private cloud means only your employees are able to having an access on your portal, and you're only sharing with that sets of vital information which is only related to your employees, and you're sharing all the KRA KPIs, you're sharing up all your targets, goals you need to be achieving, and you have a perfect platform to able to coordinate with each other. You cannot be having a WhatsApp group like any other startup based companies, right? Next one. So this private cloud contains which is managed by different kind of clusters we have. Or in short, it's a very important for, it's a key factor to store your data by your company. And it is very important to store all the information in a private cloud. So every company purchase certain sets and they have annual sets of spending a certain expenditure for the clouds. Clouds is nothing but storage, storing your data on the net. Clear? That is private cloud.
Clear.
So what would be about hybrid cloud? What do you think about hybrid cloud? What is hybrid type of cloud? How does the data is stored under hybrid form? Public and private, both available for both of them. Hybrid cloud is that kind of a factor which collaborates both public and private. All right. But hybrid is that kind which is just not mixing two factor of application, but it is also to create infrastructure of application. What do you mean by that? That is, it can include private cloud. For example, okay, there are two .coms. Amazon.in is for India, correct?
Yes.
Amazon.com is for global, correct? Amazon in is for India. Amazon.com is for the global. All right. So it is bifurcated as per the location, isn't it? Isn't it
Yes.
bifurcation? So for Indians, we can log in on Amazon in so that we can get the delivery easy, and it will automatically going to track your IP address by default. And .com is for the rest of the world. All right. So hybrid cloud is you are giving access to different people around the world based on your IP address, based on your geolocation. That is one factor. All right. Second factor is your employees also can log in here. Employees, are you aware? Employees also can log in based on, for example, if Mr. Charlie works for India, so he can log in through Amazon in page. They have a portal within the Amazon India portal. And Mr. Dinesh Kumar works for .com. So Mr. Dinesh Kumar will work for Amazon.com and he'll go to log in through the portal itself. They have a certain sets of link over there at the end of the page. Are we getting it? Where employees can also have, so it is one particular portal where you have a bifurcation, one for the employees, bifurcation for the others to even purchase as well as have a platform of B2B and B2C both. So hybrid is a mixture of computing environment, all right, where public clouds and private clouds, they only have restriction on the center of the edge of the locations. Clear? So Gmail is which type of cloud? Very important question. Gmail is a part of Google, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
And Gmail, where did I give an example of Gmail? Public, private, or hybrid? If the parent company is the public, so where would Gmail will go into?
Yeah, correct.
Exactly. Correct. Practically. So Gmail is a public cloud platform, just like the Google. All right. It is publicly available. Everybody in the world, every human being, even the children can have their own creating their own email ID. Yes, they do. They definitely require the parental email ID as well if they're below 18, but they can create one Gmail ID, correct? And because it's publicly open and only the Google company store the database, so it is one-on-one access. Any particular platform which which accessible around the world, all right, human beings or real living human being, that is data can be stored, and that data could be termed as public cloud. Clear, everybody? Moving further. So before moving further, do you want me to cover what is the data? Do you want me to cover what is DPO? Do you want me to cover what is GDPR? Do you want me to cover what is the highest paying jobs in security, in data security? Only if you people want me to cover, because this is going to be something additional to your content. So this is nothing related to audit, okay? Auditors are very different. Like Mr. Vinod Kumar is very different auditing field. This auditing and data security is two different things. Today we have data science, we have data analysts. What do? They gather the information, all right? They make the information transferable. They use CSV format. What is CSV format? Comma separated value is the medium through which it's a global acceptable. It's a globally acceptable. CSV format is a global accepted format. That means if you want to share to, for example, one of your colleague who is in a different international branch, sitting here from taking off from France, example, he's sitting in France right now. So you can share through CSV format. You have to share the data through them. If it's in European country, it's a mandatory. So now, if you're working for Accenture, how difficult it is to have a data security? You have to log in so many times, multiple cookies. Do you have this kind of experience with them?
Yes.
Yeah. Why do you think why it's so difficult over there? Like just the basic. What is the difficulties? Just simple experiences. You're just sharing. Please make note, whatever you're sharing, you have to just do not share any kind of sensitive information or security based information. That's it. But you can share the overall experience. When you were over there, are you facing difficulty being a a kind of a you can say subsequently or a subsidiary branch in India? So India becomes a subsidiary branch for your headquarters HQ, which is in Ireland. So does that becomes a challenge in logging in India as well, or just over there? Like for example, sometimes it's logging through your thumb. You can log into your two-way password keyword. Like sometimes you need to have a notification on your phone. There are certain sets of like in Cognizant, they have two-way system. Before they log in, they have an OTP coming up, and then they have to again they log in up. Like there's multiple logging. They spend around 15 minutes only to log in. So to start their system, they have to spend around 15 to 20 minutes only for logging up their system. All right. So it's basically that example. Now, I'm going to give it here. It's very important to first I'll go to global, then I'm going to talk about India. All right. I'm going to talk about global, and then I'm going to talk about India. Before starting up the global in India, let's understand where the data comes from. Okay. Let's take up this slide first. Where are we gathering the data from? Which are the places? Kindly continue.
Data is defined as a collection of unorganized facts, concepts, or instructions in a formalized manner suitable for communication, interpretation, processing by humans, or some automatic means such as computers, ATMs. Data can be stored and processed by computers or humans. Data is a term that means a collection of facts that have been translated into a form that is more convenient to analyze or to do further calculations.
So where the data is booming up, every particular minute, billions of data is collected and sold for millions of dollars. I repeat again, please click on your caption on. I repeat again, millions of data is stored and it has been done and sold for billions of money outside in the world. Our data is sold very easily and quickly. All right. The data restriction in India is very, very minimalistic. Recently, we got this adaptation of the law, but I'll talk about that in India later. But for now, it's one of the most apart from which is selling globally on the platform, just like oil and gas and petroleum and gold and diamonds. Data is equivalent to that. All right. People purchase the data. That's how we get the notification. It's not a deja vu which you feel like, since you typed in on your phone, searching any kind of product or typed in on the laptop, your laptop and phone is synced with each other. You keep on getting notification of the same product of a better price. It's how the system has been synced with both the system are synced together. That's how you get them. You get constant notification. You get constant notifying about replying about your data is stored or your orders or your selective products stored on the cart, right? So how Facebook has smartly purchased those applications which they know there can be a possibility as a competitors. So how smartly they have already invested them. Clear? So that's how the data is already booming. And what do you think? Why do we get this option of update? Software installation. That's the second part. Software is a different sector. But the factor is, why do we keep on getting update? Otherwise, they stop working. Why does it happen?
Otherwise, they will lose our data.
Very good. But why do they lose that data if not updating? See, there's a consent form. You tick mark a consent form. What is
I
consent?
agree like that.
I agree. This word
Agree.
is everything. This word is the smartest thing they have created. Okay. So it's like not they are agreeing. See, understand they play with the psychology. They play with the words and the number game with us. So they say I agree. Who's agreeing? Like we are agreeing because they created this platform for us. I agree to give all our databases to this company. Got it? So this is
Yes.
how they keep the online record that so and so date, so and so time. It's like a timestamp. All right. This person have already given us all the consent and we can freely use their data. So they sell your data. they make sure they are selling to the right agencies. They sell your data to the data mining companies. You have a company. And then also a company called big data tech giant companies, which the example is Google. Understood, everybody?
Yes.
Big data tech giant companies. All right. And when the Facebook owner, Mark Zuckerberg, was asked question from the US government about why and how, what do you do with the data and who gave you the authorization? He says that I took the authorization from I agree, and he's done. He saved from millions of dollars from getting a penalty. All right. He did not create it. He did not ask anybody and went and knocked down to the door and said, please give me your data. He didn't care any promotional ads. He created a trend of logging onto Facebook, posting your details, and people followed the trend. Where did we collect the data? We collect the data from computers, ATMs, data, and the data which we ourselves give it to the humans. We have a lot of people like Mahindra Holidays, Club Holidays. We just randomly fill up the form and we give it to them, right? What do you really think you get any kind of coupon and vouchers? Anybody here ever, I'm just trying to ask all the batches. Nobody tell me like, yeah, I got something kind of big kind of holiday package with a greater price or, a freely paid one. Nothing. Never. I'm sure about that. Anybody got any kind of offer like this? You never get that. It's just a part of promotion. It's just a part of how they're taking in the data and you are actually reselling the data. Some of the time, just taking the Club Mahindra holidays, they are not even genuine. They're not even genuine. That means they are not even from that platform. All right. Okay. Now there are 3 types of data. Again, not types. That means classified into. So before classifying it, it's a term called GDPR. GDPR. Please make a note if you want to. General Data Protection Regulation. GDPR. General Data Protection Regulation. All right. So what is GDPR? General Data Protection Regulation. It is a law in European country. It was a law which is designed in a European country on 14th of April 2016. This is one of my favorite topic. It's a favorite subject. I had been taking GDPR for pretty long years. Fortunately, when the time it was already launched, I was a part of them. 14th of April, approximately the GDPR came into effective was on 25th of May. 14th of April they were actually pre-planning the dates and everything, and they were making it, acceptance because European has a lot of list of the countries, other countries inside them, right? So it's practically approved on 25th of May 2018. 2018, very simple, very recent, 2018. What can a law like 2018 can do, right? Are people everywhere? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter, everybody here, all right?
Yes.
So are people aware that GDPR has made them paid penalty for millions of dollars from these companies? This is the only law. This is the only law which is global law, all right? Only one law which is for security, which is for global law, and they had made big companies pay penalty for sharing and selling our data, I would say, our data without our acknowledgement. Clear, everybody? The types of data, they have a bifurcation of the data. It's called as sensitive data, all right? We will call it sensitive data, like our friends and family, that kind of data is sensitive data. Our academics data, where are we learning? Our alma mater, our schooling, our college, that's going to be academic data. And then the rest one is professional data. That is professional by the way we have on LinkedIn. We are just presenting on the LinkedIn, but everything is sharing and selling to the other agency. So there's a bifurcation. Sensitive data, friends and family, academic data, and professional data. So this sets of data goes to those companies who are eager to sell you as a product. They're going to sell you your product. So they're going to keep on asking you to sell the product, different type of product until unless you become a product. So they're going to stop selling your, say after 50 to 60 years of line, they're going to stop selling you any kind of other, approaching any kind of product and services, and they're going to sell your database to them. Like, fine. So this person becomes a grandfather. Now he has a grandson or a daughter, and this is their details. Are you getting it? So they have entire family tree about us. So imagine what kind of data we are getting into. They have everything about us. They can mop our photograph. That's why we say cybersecurity should be taken care of, and we should post less pictures about our children. This is the exact accurate reason. They can mop our photographs. They can use it in the cyber crimes. They can use it on the online cyber, right? They can use it for the online crime based. So you should refrain from using our children generation or Gen Z should refrain that, but we are much more open to that because it's just a pattern of trend, right? It's just a pattern of pressure which these kind of new generation feel like, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to be very particular about whom are you selling your data and whom are you not. And that's why we have this additional sets of cookies. Now we are getting additional sets of cookies, accept the cookies, and they have a bifurcation. What data do you want to save? What data do you actually want to share? Do you want to share all of them or any parts of them? Correct me if I'm not.
Yes.
If you log into a website, you have a bifurcation of the questionnaire. The questionnaire is because of the GDPR rule. I repeat again. The questionnaire is started up because of GDPR rule. Merely 5 to 7 years, and GDPR is a global law. All right. Now let's talk about India. Okay. GDPR in India. In Indian Parliament, GDPR was rejected twice. All right. Indian Parliament, GDPR was rejected twice. So here we have it's a bifurcation. It's just about data law. Okay. It's just about data way of speaking language. It's a bifurcation of two global economy, you can say. One side is European country. The other side, whichever country is outside of the European country, is called as third country. All right. Please remember that. This is called as third country. Any country outside of European countries is called as third country. So European-based countries uses GDPR. The other countries uses, or they are following or using it in a simple language called DPA, Data Protection Act. Data Protection Act. Understood? So that's why, Mr. Vinod Kumar, you are facing challenges because you are sitting in USA and you are logging in through GDPR-based website. These are data security challenges. You are going through a chain of medium where two different countries have two different laws, and you are being able to navigating. So definitely going to have challenges. All right. Okay. So Data Protection Act, it's called as, please make a note, Data Protection Act is been finally got accepted in India in the year, just last year, August, in the month of August 2023. Clear? And have you heard about Brexit? UK exiting?
Yes,
PRE. Exactly. So UK was also part of European countries, yes or no?
yes, it was part of European Union.
Exactly. It was a part of European Union. Very good, highly intelligent class. I have updated class. So now UK, since it's not a part of European countries, it is now UK has adopted DPA back. All right. Okay. So UK, we're going to be part of this. So it's very difficult for any countries, any company which is European based to able to open any new branches anywhere in the world. I repeat again. So European has one of the most toughest security law ever. People make memes. USA make memes about this. UK make memes about this. Now they're exited. That's why. All right. So a lot of other countries oppose them, but eventually they're paying fine. So eventually money is actually going to European country. So, but India is very smart. Indian law is very smart. India is making peace with the European country. Indian company doesn't pay penalty. Indian company follows the law. And they're showing that they're following the law. All right. It's just for the showcase factor. Now you understand what I'm saying, right? So they're demonstrating that they're following the law. At least they're demonstrating. That's all I can say. All right. Hope so. So there's one particular designation. Why? What did we learn from this? We learned from this that's a designation called DPO. What does the DPO stands for? What are the highest paying jobs? Yeah. Tell me.
Data protection. Something like that.
Very good. Data protection officer. Data protection officer. DPO is a data protection officer. The highest paying jobs in European country, much higher than an engineer and a doctor can earn in a year. All right. They have a very good salary, annual packages as well. All right. What is DPO? DPO can be done after the black belt course. DPO is a mixture of master black belt and DPO can be done together. In a company, you can have a combination of data security based experience personality or a designation who have 10 plus years of experiences and who has done the MBB course as a crash course or a black belt as a crash course can be applying as a DPO. Clear? But data security is a must experience. Clear, everybody? Now let's proceed to the next topic. Coming back to the Six Sigma, GDPR with the Six Sigma. No, sorry, data with the Six Sigma. All right. So the GDPR has no connection with the Six Sigma. I repeat again, GDPR has no connection with Six Sigma. The only constant thing is between GDPR and Six Sigma is the data. All right. And the Six Sigma, we are understanding how do we calculate the data. Six Sigma is a law. It is helping us. How do we protect the data? That's the bifurcation. Clear? It's called a CTQ. CTQ factor. All right, click-through rate. YouTube is promoting the company. YouTube is working both the sides. Imagine. So YouTube is promoting company by showing you business ads or any other company ads, correct? Right?
Yes.
And YouTube is also paying influencer to skip the ad, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's going to be hypocrite. No, it's not. They're not hypocrite. They're very smart. So they're taking money from both the ends. And they're playing. So they are sharing. It's like profit revenue with the influencers. Who are the influencers? Like Lily Singh is a topest YouTuber. There are other sets of people who have Indian origin or doesn't have an Indian origin, but they are topping the chart of YouTuber list. And people have been ready to, some people are engineers and they have left their job role just for believing that it can be having a booming industry. But reality check is very few people get that level of achievement. Okay. So let's not leave that stable job of crazily going at. And I hope I don't have to teach you all this because you all are not students. Fortunately, I'm happy with that. So the point here is YouTube works in both the factors, B2B and B2C. All right. So YouTube as a company, when they're promoting companies, they're getting paid from the company and they ask influentials, YouTubers who works in the YouTube as influencing or have their own channel and have millions of followers to skip the ads and they get the payment as well. So they get the payment on both the sides. So it's a two-way business. Clear? Data with the Six Sigma has nothing to do. There's no law under that. Six Sigma is not a law. It is a concept. It is a methodology. It's a tool which can be applied to any industry. It is not saying that you cannot apply to my industry. It can apply to any industry, any company, any country, global acceptance. Let's begin data with the Six Sigma. Kindly continue.
Data may be represented in the following ways. Computer language instructions can be numeric, alphabetic, or alphanumeric. Images, photos, video clips, multimedia, and animated data. There is two types of data. They are qualitative data. It describes things. It is a descriptive information. Quantitative data, numerical information, numbers, statistics, measurements, etc.
So you have computer language. Computer language is which type of language?
High level language.
0, 1.
Binary. 0, 1.
Binary language. Very good. Binary language. Data can be a binary language. Alphanumeric, numeric, images, photos, video clips, audio version. The audio WhatsApp which you're is sharing with your colleagues, your friends are all the part of the data. Okay? Are all the part of the data. Different types of data. Images, videos, clips, everything. All right. Everything is being monitored by the global data agency. Everything. So there's nothing. Please do not share any kind of personal information. If you're sharing it, make sure that you are deleting within 5 minutes. All right. Within 5 minutes of time, it's already uploaded on the web. Web means Google. All right. WhatsApp is connected to Facebook and Facebook connected to the Google. So it directly goes to the Google cloud. All right. So that's how it's interlinked with each other. So, and it's never going to be deleted again. One sensitive picture or image or a video goes up, it never gets deleted back. You cannot undo the factor. You can only do for the limitation factor. For example, any kind of viral video. So these are the factors. That's why people it's such a life-threatening scenario for people. All right. So you have to be very particular about the databases. All right. Specifically friends and family. So you have to, that's why now you can lock your profile on Facebook. Isn't it? Earlier it wasn't, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Was it earlier?
No.
It's recently. Why? So that you can only share details to your own friends and family, not anybody outside strangers. All right. This is also a reason why, because GDPR has poked the nose on Facebook and made them pay penalty fine. All right. This time, Mark Zuckerberg cannot come out from this rigorous law, and he had paid penalty or fine. And where do you find this information? You cannot find the information on Google, because Google themselves had paid the fine. You'll get the information on Microsoft Bing. Right? Bing.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
please log into Microsoft Bing and then find out these answers. You will get it. Clear? Okay. So there are two types of data: qualitative data and quantitative data. Qualitative data means which is description, in description, and quantitative data is numerics, statistics, measurement. Let us understand both in detail. All right. So there are different types of data: sound, images, segments, data, words, numbers, alphanumerics. Please do not save your banking data and passwords around 82%, 82.70, no, 82.80, no, it was 82.18 specifically. 82.18% of the Indian population, they save our banking credentials in the laptop, on the phone, as a password. Yes or no? Please
Yes.
stop,
Yes.
refrain from doing it.
Yes.
Stop,
Yes.
please refrain from doing it. It's a global, alarm can buzz anytime, and we can see our password, and this can be hacked. It's a hackable thing. It is a hackable thing, can be done. So the kind of technology we are into right now, so kindly avoid this kind of, practices.